everyone, welcome to another Data Vault Q&A brought to you by Iris, the best choice for your data lake, your lake house automation. I'll get that right eventually. I am Julien Redmond. I am joined again today by Nols Ebersohn. G'day, Nols.
G'day, Julien.
All right, I think this is a question that has been asked many, many times, but how do you transition from a traditional data warehouse to a data vault?
Excellent question. It's a little bit nuanced in that it depends what the traditional warehouse structure represents. If it's a traditional third normal form data warehouse, it has some advantages and disadvantages. And then we also have the old dimensional warehouses. And so, again, pros and cons for those. The good thing about the transition from the old warehouse to the data vault structure is you have done some of the heavy lifting already. You already have a reasonable idea on what kind of business keys exist in the data. You've also covered off some of the business rules or technical debt that needed to have been resolved. Now, unfortunately, sometimes when you move an older or a legacy warehouse, the business rules didn't get properly documented and is now out of date. And so we've got a number of challenges in that regard. And what do you then properly migrate is another conversation. But from a technical perspective, you have some of the changes over time already tracked, so you can transition that neatly into a satellite. If it's a third normal form warehouse, then you at least have some version of a relationship being indicated, and as such, you can capture those, which is reasonable. Now, again, it depends on whether someone has taken an industry model and tried to smash all of their data into an industry model, which at best was a 40% fit. So there's a bit of untangling to be done.
Yep.
If a lot of business rules were applied before the data eventually landed in the warehouse, and so there's no visibility of what the actual source data versus the warehouse data, you need to treat that then as a business vault, a citizen, even though it's a legacy migration item, it's business vault because it doesn't exist at source. And so that's some of the challenges that come with it. Now, if you take, for instance, a dimension from an old dimensional warehouse, Snowflake design, then, or not Snowflake, Star Schema. If it's Snowflake, well, that's a whole different bag of problems, but that's a different story. A dimension is an excellent business key candidate. You always have to ask, is it unique? Is it well described? Is it used in our business processes? And typically dimensions do have those three things. The problem is integration of different sources tend to get either bloat the dimension or proliferate the dimension. It's one of the two that happens. And so from a data vault perspective, to move dimensional data into a hub and satellite structure is exceedingly simple. And you simply use the start date, the audit trail elements that were maintained by the old warehouse as a subsequence element in your satellites. And so you can even, while it's live, see how things have changed over time of it as you transition, cutting over from the legacy to the data vault. So there are plenty of tips and tricks to do that elegantly and easily. The challenge we will face with dimensional modeling is in the facts, because you've flattened out all of the relationships. All of that relational context is now kaput, it's gone. And so untangling that can sometimes be a little bit tricky, but at minimum, you can keep it all together and at least navigate through that somewhat verbose and cumbersome link structure, which results from that legacy stuff. But hopefully, you can untangle some of that successfully and bring some of the proper relational details out of it, because you can't describe the cross-section of 10, 15, 20 business keys without losing some of that context.
Let me ask a bit of a tangential question then. So would you generally recommend someone maybe stand up a vault and start incrementally building up the vault and leaving the old warehouse in place while they're doing that, rather than trying to source from the old vault?
Oh, well, that's a really, really interesting question because human nature is at play.
Yeah.
You will never get rid of the old unless you kill it.
Yeah, right.
And there's always somebody with a little bit of legacy access that will go and tweak something else because they can.
Yeah.
And so so there's the old saying that the Native Americans had, feed the wolf that you want to survive.
Yeah.
And so if you have a legacy platform and you're moving away from it, it's better to migrate that data into your new platform as additional tangential satellites that sit there integrated to the same business keys and the like, and switch the old platform off so that the transition to the new platform there's only one place to go.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we have organizations with 10, 15, 20 different data warehouses and reporting repositories. And, people built their careers on it. And so if you allow it to continue, you will never get to the point where you have a consistent answer from a corporate perspective.
There is also the challenge, though, of making sure that you're delivering business value early in one of these projects as well. So it kind of is a balancing act, isn't it? You've got to get off the old. You've got to deliver something new to the business because if they get the same report off some new technology, then they don't have anything new, So it is a challenge.
It is a challenge, and the organizations that seem to navigate that more successfully has a very interesting financial funding model. So every project, some organizations where I've seen the ability to address some of these issues, moving off the old onto the new properly, everyone looks at the new shiny value add things and whatever, and that's all sexy, and everyone gets funding for it, and everyone goes, that's fantastic, and none of the old things get addressed.
Yeah.
So organizations where I've seen being able to address and clean up has taken every single project that goes live must contribute to the technical debt liability on their balance sheet.
Yeah.
And so this is a board level decision that says we're going to contribute a portion of every project has to contribute to technical debt because no project delivers a perfect product.
Yeah.
None, ever. And so there's always the risk of technical debt. And most of that compromise is they didn't put in data quality, they didn't do the integration, they didn't do full implementation, so there's missing modules and so on, because technically they could launch a new product without any of those items being addressed.
Yeah.
So by addressing it and therefore being able to say, look, this is technical debt, I want to go and draw down on the actual liability on the balance sheet, which all board members want the liabilities to be reduced, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
There is now an incentive at an executive level to go and reduce that liability. And so funding these things to, okay, now, yes, we got, 80% of it moved, but no one wants to put their hand up for this last 20%. Technical debt bucket, motivate for it, put your business case up for it, and move it along. And so that's what successful organizations do. So it's not a simple thing. It's a very strongly cultural thing, but it's certainly been done successfully in the past. Now, that's quite a departure from transitioning from a traditional warehouse into Data Vault, but that's one of the key success factors, right?
Yeah. No, it's true. It's not just a technical project. It's, there's a lot of process to change. There's a lot of consideration around, how the business will fund it and what they're expecting from it. So it is something where you need a bit of help.
Absolutely.
All right. That was a good chat. Thank you for your brain again.
My pleasure.
All right. We'll see you next time.
See you next time.